Afternoon, good afternoon, colleagues. Imina 85 na legislatura in Guam is back from recess, and at this time, I'm going to acknowledge Senator Joe San Augustine. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to report back to the body that bill numbers 353-35 COR, as amended by the Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, and Housing, and bill number 400-35 COR, as amended by the Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, and Housing, and further amended in the Committee of the Whole, and bill 396-35 COR, as amended by the Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, and Housing. And finally, bill 415-35 COR, action was deliberated with the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole that the bills mentioned be placed on the third reading file, which is the voting file.
On the motion to place on the third reading file, are there any objections? Hearing or seeing none, motion carries.
Madam Speaker.
Senator San Augustine, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Notwithstanding.
One moment,
Okay.
Senator. I will confer with the clerk for a moment. Yeah. Senator San Augustine, please, if you allow me, Senator Paris has a bill that she would like to bring back up, so I'm going to allow her before I go to you. Senator Paris, you are acknowledged at this time.
This is Mossy, Madam Speaker. I move to reconsider the actions of the body pertaining to Bill 314-35. The reason being I want to add a co-sponsor.
Notwithstanding, please.
Notwithstanding House rules, I move to reconsider the actions of the body on Bill 314-35.
On that motion, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Senator Paris. Senator Joe San Augustine, you are recognized again. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. No, notwithstanding the House rules, I ask the body that we move back to motion.
There has been a motion to revert back to motions. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. So at this time, Senator Lee, you had your hand up earlier. Is that still?
Yeah, point of order. We had, as majority leader, assistant majority leader.
Senator, I do apologize. I will recognize you at this time.
Saina Maasi Maska Halu. I have a bill. I move to place a bill onto the session agenda.
Please proceed.
It is bill number 417-35 COR, as amended by the Committee on Economic Development, Agriculture, Maritime Transportation, Power and Energy, Utilities and Emergency Response. It is introduced by myself, Tina Rose Munya-Barnes, William M. Castro, Joe S. San Augustine. Acton Manhita Zen Menafamaulik, an act to add a new Article 5 to Chapter 50, Title 12, Guam Code Annotated, relative to establishing the Guam Intra-Regional Commerce Commission. I also have one bill that I was going to move for yourself, Madam Speaker.
Let me take the first motion then, Senator, Assistant Majority Leader, if I may. It's you, Bill 417-35, am I right? Is that a COR or an LS?
COR.
COR. On a point of information, Committee on Rules Chair, Senator Lee, I will recognize you at this time.
Sutusmasi, Madam Speaker, Bill 417-35 COR, as amended, was filed with the Committee on Rules on December 9th. And so it's online and available for the public and for my colleagues to review.
Thank you, Senator Lee. On that motion, as proffered by Assistant Majority Leader on Bill 417-35, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Assistant Majority Leader, you're recognized still, please.
Sejus Maasi Maskahelu. So I also move to place Bill number 402-35 COR as amended by the Committee on Heritage and the Arts, Parks, Guam Products, Hagåtña Revitalization, Self-Determination, and Regional Affairs, introduced by Tina Rose Muñoz-Barnes. An act to authorize the extension of the term of the use agreements of properties recognized as the Guam Football Soccer Association, GFA, National Training Center in Dededo and the Southern Sports Complex in Agate, between the Department of Parks and Recreation and the Guam Football Soccer Association for a term of up to 20 years.
On that motion, are there any objections? Senator Lee, Committee on Rules Chair, I will recognize you at this time.
Sejus Maasi, Madam Speaker. Just a point of information on Bill 402-35 COR as amended. This measure was filed with the Committee on Rules on December 8th.
On that motion, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Assistant Majority Leader, you still have the floor.
Those are the only two bills I
At
have
this
to move
time?
at this moment.
Okay, I saw a lot of hands go up, colleagues, and I thought I saw, as I see it, I was recognizing Senator Lee, and then I will work. So I'm going to ask that my assistant he'll give me the names as what we saw going up, just to be fair, and I will go ahead and take it in the order he's given me. So please, if you have a motion, raise up your hand. So we have. Okay, so Legislative Secretary, I will recognize you at this time.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I move to place on the session agenda the appointment of Mr. Richard P. Sablon to serve as Member General Public Representative to the Guam Community College Board of Trustees.
On that motion, as proffered by Legislative Secretary, are there any objections for the placement of the appointment of Richard Sablon? Seeing or hearing no objections, motion carries. Legislative Secretary, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to place on the session agenda the appointment of Dr. Matilda N. Rivera as Member Teacher Representative to the Guam Public Library System Board of Directors.
Colleagues, on that motion, as proffered, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Do you have any more, Legislative Secretary, at this time? Not, I will recognize Senator Muñoz, Senator Castro, then Senator Therese. Senator Muñoz, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to place Bill number 302-35 COR introduced by myself, which is an act to add a new subsection 18903 to Article 9 of Chapter 18, Title 22, Guam Code Annotated, and to amend the title of Article 9 of Chapter 18, Title 22, Guam Code Annotated, relative to prohibiting health insurance companies from canceling or reducing covered benefits for covered patients who enroll in qualified clinical trials. I move to place this on the agenda, Madam Speaker.
On that motion, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Senator Muñoz, I'll still recognize you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to place Bill number 304-35 COR introduced by myself, Louise B. Muñoz, which is an act to add a new Article 26 to Part 2, Chapter 12, Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, relative to authorizing access to and use of experimental treatments for patients with an advanced illness, to establish conditions for the use of experimental treatment, to prohibit sanctions of healthcare providers solely for recommending or providing experimental treatment, to clarify duties of a health insurer with regard to experimental treatment authorized under this act, to prohibit certain actions by public officials, employees, and agents, and to restrict certain causes of action arising from experimental treatment. This act is known as the Right to Try Act. Madam Speaker, I'm sorry, it's illegal now, and they had assured me that they're going to push it out as soon as possible.
Thank you. At this time, for a point of information by the Committee on Rules Chair, Senator Lee, you are recognized.
Sujos Masi, Madam Chair, as the previous speaker had mentioned, this bill remains with our legal counsel for legal review, so it is not available, the committee report is not available online at this time.
Based on the notwithstanding motion, we will take this procedurally. Are there any objections to this motion? 314-35. 304. On the motion, without any objections, seeing...
I apologize, Madam Speaker. If the mover could just clarify which version, if it's introduced version and it's 304-35 COR.
Senator Muñe, could you do that, please?
I'm sorry, Madam Speaker, if she could clarify again,
What version?
as introduced.
As
Madam Speaker,
introduced.
As introduced.
As introduced. On that motion, colleagues, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Senator Castro.
Si Jus Masi, Senador Gehilo, Tizu Kulanu Atmanatu Chagesti dispensa. Tata spia hafataimano po na mo na estina piniponi. Madam Speaker, I move to place Bill number 62-35, Committee on Rules, onto the session agenda. Bill number 62-35, Committee on Rules, is substituted by the Committee on Economic Development, Agriculture, Maritime Transportation, Power, and Energy Utilities, and Emergency Response, as introduced by myself. It's an act to add a new Article 14 to Chapter 1 of Division 1, Title 5, Guam Code annotated relative to codifying. The Guam Office of Homeland Security is established under Executive Order number 2003-13 and relative to creating the Marianas Regional Fusion Center, the Division of Cybersecurity and Critical Infrastructure Security, and the Guam Emergency Management Advisory Council, to be known as the Homeland Security, Critical Infrastructure, and Emergency Management Modernization Act of 2020.
On that motion, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Senator Castro. Senator Therese, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to move the appointment of Mr. Ronald T. Laguana to the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission to be put on the agenda.
On that motion, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, Senator? On the motion to place Ronald T. Laguana on the session agenda, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Senator Therese, any other ones? Senator Torres, Mary Torres, you are recognized.
Sus Masi. Madam Speaker, notwithstanding the House rules, I move to place onto the session agenda Bill number 239-35 COR as substituted on the floor, introduced by myself, Mary Camacho Torres, and Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes. An act to add a new Article 3A to Chapter 12 of Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, relative to adopting the Nurse Licensure Compact, and to add a new subsection 12307 of Chapter 12 of Title 10, Guam Code Annotated, relative to establishing additional duties of the Guam Board of Nurse Examiners to facilitate the licensure of nurses under the compact, and I wish to speak on the measure further, Madam Speaker, to offer some explanation.
Point of order,
What-
Madam Speaker.
One moment, please, one moment. Clerk?
It's not even reported out of committee. No.
Notwithstanding,
Colleagues, I know there was a motion on the floor that was notwithstanding, and just to be clear, I'm going to take a moment's recess. I've conferred with the clerk, and I'm just going to get a legal interpretation on this. If you can allow me a moment's recess. Y mina 85 na legislatura in Guam is back from recess. Colleagues, I'm going to share that Senator Torres has shared a notwithstanding motion. I'm going to allow her to just finish her presentation on the motion, and then I will...
Point of order, Madam
You
Speaker.
have a point of order?
Yes, she
State your
wants
point
to
of order.
debate the motion, and it's not debatable at this point, Madam Speaker. And we've
I-
already heard the bill number, and I'd like to make another point of order, Madam Speaker. The bill has not been reported out of committee, so it's improper to be putting it on the agenda at this point. That's according to our rules.
I understand.
Yes, there are several rules, in fact, that make that very clear, that a bill that has not been reported out of committee is not supposed to be put on the session agenda.
Thank you. Duly noted, Senator Therese. And again, I will remind my colleagues that this is a notwithstanding motion. And I was going to allow her to at least give her the courtesies, like I have in the past with everybody else, to at least give her reasoning and then make the ruling after that.
Objection, Madam Speaker, it's not debatable. She's read the title, it's not debatable.
Senator,
Otherwise, you have to allow all of us
What?
to debate.
Thank you. One more, duly noted. Senator Lee, on a point of information.
So just Mossy, Madam Speaker, again, I just read to a point of information, this bill 239 was not, as the previous speaker had mentioned, was not reported out of committee, but it was introduced in November of 2019. I believe it had 2 public hearings in September of this year, but the committee report isn't available online for us to review.
Thank you, Senator Lee. Madam Clerk? Colleagues, there has been a motion on the floor to place Bill 239 on the session agenda. There has been an objection. This motion is not debatable. We have been consistent of that throughout the term. There is an objection. All those, do you have a point of information, Minority
Well,
Leader?
point of inquiry, Madam Speaker. During the Committee on Rules, there were tentative bills that were placed on a sheet, and I was just wondering, was 239 one of those tentative bills that we would later on put on? Was that included on that?
I couldn't answer that for you,
Well, no, obviously it's not because,
Minority
yeah,
Leader.
okay, great.
So we are entertaining a motion right now as proffered by the good Senator of Santa Rita, and that there has been an objection to that. I have noted to this body that based on our consistency, that it is not a debatable motion at this time. I will ask for the votes. All those who wish to put Bill 329
Madam Speaker, oh, sorry.
239.
Speaker, so I am not allowed to explain at all? I'm not allowed to explain, notwithstanding the rules, why I'm moving to place this? I respectfully ask for that, but If it's your ruling that I'm not allowed to explain, then
Good Senator from Santa Rita, thank you very much. Yes, but you do have the option to ask for the body to reconsider the actions of the presider. So you can ask for that reconsideration.
no need to, Madam. I just
Thank you.
I just want to make it clear that I was not allowed to explain. That's all. Thank you.
Yes, I apologize, and
Point
I
of
will know for-
information, we're not allowed to debate, Madam Speaker, yes.
Duly noted, Senator Therese. Colleagues, there has been a motion as proffered by Senator Mary Torres. There has been an objection. All those in favor to place Bill 239-35 onto the session agenda, please signify by raising your hand. Motion fails. Senator Mary Torres, Senator, you still have the floor. Do you have any other motion, Senator Torres?
No, I don't, Madam Speaker. I just, this was my final attempt out of respect for the repeated request of the nursing community to move this bill forward.
Objection,
but
Madam
I
Speaker.
respect the decision of the body. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Torres. There, anybody else wishing, please, on Minority Leader and then Senator Lee. Minority Leader, you are recognized at this time.
Sijus Masi, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd like to move to place Bill 377-35 COR as substituted on the committee, introduced by myself, James Moylan, Senator James Moylan, Senator Joe S. San Augustine, and it's an act to amend 30107 of Article 1, Chapter 30, Division 3, Title 5, Guam Code Annotated, relative to the timely issuance of opinions requested of the Office of the Attorney General of Guam. And Madam Speaker, from what I gathered, the committee report was submitted to Committee on Rules on December 4th. And I've worked with the legal office, who's actually helped craft this legislation, so it's just a matter of anticipating it being online. So I ask that it is at the bottom of the list to allow it to be on the session agenda.
Senator, thank you, Minority Leader. Senator Lee, Committee on Rules Chair, you are recognized.
Sijos Masi, Madam Speaker, I rise to a point of information, and that what was previously stated by the retiring speaker is correct. Bill 377-35 COR as amended was received by the Committee on Rules December 4th, but there were also a number of measures that were received prior, including measures that met the Committee on Rules deadline that we're still trying to process through. So again, we have an order that we try to abide by. There's a queue. And so this committee report isn't available online. So again, in terms of transparency, the public is not able to review this committee report, and neither are the members of the body. Sijos Masi.
Point of information, Madam Speaker. If I'm not mistaken, another bill was placed on the agenda that is not online as well.
Senator, please, Minority Leader, it was just a point of information. On the motion to place notwithstanding to place Bill 377-35 COR on the session agenda, are there any objections? Are there any objections? There has been an objection. All those wishing to place Bill 377-35 COR on the session agenda, please signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. Anyone else on motions at this time? Assistant Majority Leader, you are recognized. I will recognize you again.
Saina Maasi, Madam Speaker. It has come to my attention that a nomination that we've been working on is ready to be put onto the session
I'll accept that
agenda.
nomination motion at this time. Please proceed.
So, Madam Speaker, I move to place the appointment of Robert J. Steffy to serve as member of the Department of Parks and Recreation Commission onto the session agenda.
On that motion, as proffered by the Assistant Majority Leader to place Robert J. Steffy onto the session agenda for the committee member for Department of Parks and Recreation. Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. I'm going to recognize the OFB Chair, Senator Joe San Augustine. You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I only have an inquiry, and maybe the clerk will be able to scrub the list, is that if any of the bills that were introduced to be added, that's going to be added, if it has any impact that we would need to be in the committee of the whole, that it be the one up front. And the reason why is because I did advise OFB, BBMR, and DOA to be on standby today, this afternoon, so that we can wrap it up. And if it is, then after the clerk has checked the list, I'd ask the body to consider that to be up front, and we can, at least I can send them back to doing what they need to do. Thank you.
Duly noted. I see that Senator Lee, Committee on Rules Chair, did you have your hand? Please, you are recognized.
Sidus Masi, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, notwithstanding the House rules, I move that Bill number 340-35 COR as substituted and further substituted on the floor be placed onto our session agenda at the top of the second reading file. And Madam Speaker, just for the information of my colleagues, Bill 340-35 COR as substituted and further substituted on the floor was introduced by myself, Speaker Tina Rose Munoz-Barnes, and Senators Joe San Augustine, Kelly Marsh Taitano, PhD, Amanda Shelton, Jose Pito Terlahi, Vice Speaker Talina Cruz Nelson, Senator Therese Terlahi, and Senator William N. Castro, is an act relative to the establishment of the Recovery, Income Support, and Empowerment, or RISE program, for the issuance of payments to eligible Guam residents during the state of public health emergency due to the coronavirus disease COVID-19 pandemic, to adopt rules and regulations to effectuate the same, and to cite this act as the Recovery, Income Support, and Empowerment, or RISE Act of 2020.
Thank you, Senator Lee. On that motion, do you have a point of information?
I have a point of inquiry. So in considering this, it looks like this is the only appropriations bill. Are there any other appropriations bills that we know of? Because I think that's part of the consideration. Are we talking about one, and then we're finished with appropriations in committee of the whole for the entire session? Or are there others? And during core meeting, we had agreed to having 2 sets of committee of the whole. So if there's more than one, I think the body should understand that, so that they're making the decision.
Duly noted, Senator, Assistant Majority Leader. So on the motion to place Bill 3.
So that was an inquiry. Are there any other appropriation bills so that we understand?
Not in front of me right now, Senator, that has been presented.
None of the ones that we've placed onto the session agenda today are appropriation measures. I just want a clear understanding.
At this time, I don't see any at this time, with the exception of 340.
Sujus Masi, I just wanted that clarity.
Thank you. On that motion, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. I'm going to recognize Senator Paris and then Senator Joe San Augustine on Bill 368. Oh. Motion carries. Senator Paris, you are recognized.
Sidus Masi, Madam Speaker, notwithstanding House rules, I move to place Bill number 413-35 COR sponsored by myself, Speaker Tina Rosemary Barnes, Senator Joe S. San Augustine. It's an act to add new section 67101.7 of Chapter 67, Title 21, Guam Code Annotated, relative to adopting the 2017 Guam Tropical Energy Code, GTEC, to renumber existing Section 67101.7 and 67101.8 of Chapter 67, Title 21, Guam Code Annotated, and to amend relevant sections of locally adopted building codes. Fourth-
Senator Paris, can you please just confirm the number for me?
Oh, sure. It's bill number 413-35. It was submitted
Just
to
35 COR or LS?
COR. It was submitted today, and it had a legal review.
Okay, you know what, I'm going to take, on that, let me take a moment's recess and confer with the clerk. Y Mina 35 na legislature in Guahan is back from recess. On the motion as proffered by Senator Paris, are there any objections? There is an objection. No objection. On a point of information, I do apologize, Senator Lee, I will recognize you.
Susan Mossy, Madam Speaker, Bill 413-35 COR, I believe as introduced is the one that's attempting to be moved. It was received by the Committee on Rules today at 8:34 a.m., but the Committee on Rules has not had an opportunity to review it. There are several bills ahead of this bill and several appointments as well ahead. And so I just wanted to give that information to the body. The committee report is not available. So again, as a matter of transparency, the committee report for this bill is not available for my colleagues and for the public to view at this time.
Thank you. Senator, did you want to add to your motion because
Point of information?
point of information I will allow?
Yeah, point of information about the bill, it's what it does, it just updates the building code to the 2017 GTEC.
Yes.
It
Guys,
hasn't been
please
changed.
just let's give courtesies. Is there an objection to this bill as proffered by Senator Paris on Bill 413-35? Are there any objections? There is an objection.
No. Madam Speaker, just a point of inquiry. Number one, there's a bill. It hasn't been uploaded. Nobody can see anything on it. Am I correct? I just wanted to know if that's the message.
I will confirm with clerk. Clerk, is that bill been uploaded? Colleagues, the clerk has just informed me that the committee report is uploaded and available. On that motion, Senator Lee, I will get a verification again. Clerk has shared with me that the committee report has been uploaded. On the motion, I apologize. The clerk has just noted it was an error on her side that she was, the report is not uploaded. She apologizes. Then Senator San Augustine, I will still entertain you.
Then,
On the
Madam
point of
Speaker, that being stated, we've done this is almost a complete 2 years. If it ain't uploaded, it ain't fair to the people of Guam or even our colleagues. I understand the bill has good intent. Every bill has good intent, but I'd have to object to be allowed to be added. Thank you.
Colleagues, we will go ahead and proceed based on the objection.
Madam Speaker, point of information and inquiry. Just one more time, please.
I will allow.
My understanding from my colleagues that there were other bills that were not uploaded either. And in all fairness, then I withdraw my objection to that. If the others pass and it hasn't been uploaded, it's just all I'm understanding is that I didn't hear if others weren't uploaded. But if it's not uploaded yet, I don't know what we're going to read.
Committee on
Okay?
Rules,
So
thank you,
I'm
Senator.
just concerned about
On
that.
the motion to withdraw, yes, duly noted, Senator San Augustine. Based on that, there is still a motion on the floor. Committee on Rules Chair, I will acknowledge you for a point of information.
Sujos Masi, Madam Speaker, again, just a point of information, and this was brought up by a colleague previously about our rules. So in our rules, section 6.04D1, placement on session agenda without a report. No bill shall be placed on the session agenda unless accompanied by a committee report conforming to the requirements of these rules, or unless the public hearing on the bill has been waived in accordance with 2 GCA subsection 2103 by the speaker during the session pursuant to the motion made during, quote, motions part of the session agenda. In the event that the public hearing is waived and provided for herein, upon a motion by a member, the bill may be placed on the session agenda with 8 votes of the members. Except as specifically allowed no bill may be placed on the floor without a majority of the committee members of the committee to which it was referred voting to pass or report out only. So we're just, again, these are our rules. I understand there was a notwithstanding motion, but I just leave that with the body. There was an objection earlier to another motion, so, I'll leave that at.
Minority Leader,
See,
on
just
a
my-
point of information,
Actually, it's a point of inquiry.
state
Madam-
your question.
Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you.
Speaker. Madam Speaker, I heard the sentiments of reading of the standing rules. But, Madam Speaker, this is our last session before the end of this term. And what we're trying to do is place these bills on this session agenda. Now, I don't think that there might be a bunch of other bills that have been sent to Committee on Rules. But at this time, by placing these bills on the agenda, it gives Committee of Rules the opportunity to make them priority, to get them on the website for viewing. So my question is to the Committee on Rules, if these bills are all in order the way we've placed them, will that be priority for Committee on Rules to get those bills up on the website? Because it's obvious every single one of these bills have been submitted to Committee on Rules. It's just a matter of Committee on Rules putting it on the website for everybody to see. So my question to her would be, will that be priority based on this list that is being formulated right now of bills?
Senator Lee, would you like to answer that question?
Absolutely, Madam Speaker. And again, I just want to clarify for my colleagues and for the people of Guam watching. The Committee on Rules establishes, these are rules, standing rules that we all voted on and approved. There were no objections to these standing rules. Moving forward, we establish Committee on Rules deadlines for all of the committee reports so that the Rules Committee has an ample opportunity to review committee reports. In our review of committee reports, many times, Madam Speaker, we have to return these bills to be corrected, to have things added, because there are things missing. And so it takes the Committee on Rules and our legal counsel a significant amount of time to properly review these bills. And they are reviewed in the order that they're received, Madam Speaker. So I just plead with the body. We are stretching our staff and our legal counsel very thin. We just completed our November session, which was extended, and then we rolled into this one. And so just, with the focus on transparency and making sure that we're doing an effective job and we don't end up getting sued because we were rushing and we weren't thorough, I'm just pleading with the members to make these considerations. I understand everybody has their, they want to get things done by the end of the year. I can appreciate that. I'm in that same boat. Sujos Masi.
Thank you. I'm going to take a moment's recess. Senator Perez. En 35 na legislature in Guam is back from recess. Senator Perez, I'm going to allow you the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. After hearing the discussion, I withdraw my motion. Thank you.
Are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries. Senator San Augustine.
Madam Chair, now standing the House rules, right, we're in motion, right?
Yes,
Bill
sir.
368-35 LS, introduced by to add it to the agenda. Introduced by Speaker yourself, Speaker Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, and co-sponsored by Jose Pedro Terlay. An act to add Article 1A to Chapter 2 of Title 30, Guam Administrative Rules and Regulations, relative to cigarette tax stamp, and to require the Department of Revenue and Taxation to issue a request for proposal for the enforcement of tobacco taxes as identified by Director of DRT on behalf of the Government of Guam. I'm going to go to the details so that everybody understands where it's at, okay? It was introduced on June 11, 2020, referred to me on 8/5/20. Committee referred, it was reported back to CORE on December 10, 2020 at 2:26, as amended by the Committee on General Government Operation, Appropriation, and Housing. It's been uploaded. That's what I've been informed. I would only ask that the bill be added but not heard any earlier than Monday maybe or Friday afternoon, so that the people of Guam and everybody can see it long enough. Thank you.
On the motion, are there any objections? Seeing or hearing none, motion carries.
I've got a point of inquiry that I raised my hand before you put your gavel down. Is this a bill that would need a committee of the whole?
No. Motion carries. Anyone else on motions? Colleagues, I will note for the record that if time permits and we can come back based on the committee reports that have been submitted, that need to be uploaded, that I will give fair consideration for to come back to motions to put more items on. So with that being said, I'm going to ask for a moment's recess so that I can allow clerk to take all the bills that have been added to date and all the appointments to organize that, put it online for everybody to see. So I'm going to take a moment's recess. Y minuto 35 in the legislature in Guam is back from recess. Senator Joseph Augustine, I will recognize you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I ask that we recess until tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and we start with the Committee of the Whole.
We
We
are
are
out
in
of
recess
committee of
till
the
9 o'clock
whole. We are
tomorrow.
out of committee of the whole.